Welcome to Gluten Freeway. I'm Lauren Martz from Bake True North, and our guest today is Katelyn Lesk.
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And we are here in the beautiful Highland Park of Pittsburgh, and we're going to take a little drive just around the park and chat about gluten-free dumb and gluten-freeness.
Gluten freedom.
I do like that word a lot. Gluten freedom. I thought it was my own thing, and then I found out it's already kind of it's a thing.
Gluten freeway is yours,
Gluten freeway is my thing. Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit, first of all, about gluten free or whatever your eating style is. If it's gluten free plus other things that you don't eat, or what exactly is that?
So I am gluten-free, but I am just gluten-sensitive, so I don't have to be too careful about cross-contamination.
Oh, okay.
But I do avoid any gluten that I know is in any food, so I never intentionally eat it. I don't have any cheat days where I eat a little bit of gluten. I never intentionally eat it. But for the most part, that's the only thing that I outright avoid. Mm-hmm. But I do try to eat relatively healthy and always, so I try to eat a lot of just whole foods. I guess it would fall under the clean eating category, but I just try to use common sense with what feels healthy for my body, and I certainly don't eat perfectly, and I live in the city, so I eat at restaurants a lot.
So many good restaurants.
Yeah, I try to keep it as normal as possible to still fit in with a social life, and but I do try to eat healthy in general, but gluten is the only thing that I absolutely avoid.
Got it. Awesome. So I'll actually put a little intro. Sorry, I didn't do this before, but I met Katelyn through a mutual friend, Meredith Dykstra, who we had on our last Gluten Freeway. And so the three of us are all gluten-free, and as you heard, Meredith is super queen health.
Mm-hmm. Yes. She's on another level.
But we're probably more on a similar level in that instance. So I wanted to ask you how you came to start eating gluten-free, or why, maybe.
Okay, great question. So gluten had been on my radar for a while because my sisters had celiac for 10 years. So I knew what it was. It was on my radar as something I may be sensitive to. And it wasn't a hard learning curve for me to figure out what gluten was and what it was in, because I already had so much experience from knowing from my sister. Mm-hmm. But it had been on my radar, especially as I started to eat more and more healthy. I didn't per se cut it out, but it was something I was eating less and less of. Mm-hmm. And a little over, I would say about 2.5 years ago, I started to have some serious digestive problems, and I just was feeling really sick for about a month. I kept thinking I had this on and off sort of stomach digestive bug. I didn't really know what was going on. And I had scheduled an appointment with a naturopath and had found out I was gluten sensitive that way, but simultaneously I had also had an appointment with my PCP, and I knew my iron levels were super low, my B12 was low, all these other things I found out, which I think was just because I wasn't absorbing those nutrients properly. So it was kind of cool because I had sort of the more holistic people telling me the same thing that sort of Western medicine was telling me, all was kind of aligning, so I knew I had to cut it out. At that time, there were other foods that I had to cut out, specifically nightshades for me, which are like tomatoes and peppers and things that were really tragic for me to cut out because I love that kind of stuff.
It's not as easy to replace those.
Yeah, that was just short term until some of the inflammation could heal, and then I was able to incorporate those back in. So after a period of about 6 months or so, then it was just strictly the gluten that I was cutting out. So it was more just it being on my radar, not being sure if I was sensitive, but then having kind of getting sick all at once and really just having major symptoms of things weren't going right. Mm-hmm. And then doing some food testing and finding out that it was the gluten. And then I felt relief almost immediately.
Really?
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Or at least I wasn't having any of the major symptoms. Mm-hmm. And then I've cut it out ever since. I haven't ever tried to reincorporate it because,
I was gonna ask.
Quite honestly, a lot of the foods that I have historically overeaten and make me not feel good anyway, pizza, cakes, stuff like that, all have gluten in them. So I actually like having a guideline that says this is just not what I eat, and it makes me feel healthier overall, because even if I wasn't sensitive, overeating an entire pizza. Is it going to make you feel good, So I like having that boundary.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, how gluten made you feel, and you went into some of that already. Have you accidentally had gluten since then? And
yes.
How does that affect you?
Yes, and I'm not sure I have a great answer for that because sometimes it seems to affect me and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't know if it's the type of gluten. I don't know if it's if it affects me more if there's already some inflammation going on from other things that I might be sensitive to, or just stress in life. I think that has a huge impact on our digestive system. And ironically, when I started getting really sick was right after a huge career transition in my life. So I don't know if just the stress of that maybe kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back or whatnot, but
could have been
part
of it at least.
I think there's a lot of things other than just what we're ingesting in life that play into how we're digesting, how we're reacting to different things. So I wonder if sometimes when I'm more sensitive, if there's just other stuff going on, maybe whatever else in my body could be causing inflammation or stress or things like that. So I think that's a possibility too, but there's so many variables. I just haven't really been able to narrow it down as to whether it affects me or not and why. So I just steer clear.
Okay. How long ago did you give up gluten?
I think it was the summer of 2014. I remember it was because it was right after the big career transition and I was then working from home full time. So I was able to travel a lot more and it was towards the end of the summer. So again, it could have been all the travel that threw me off, just even though I eat healthy when I travel, it's still different sleeping patterns, different foods. So by the end of that summer was when it started to come up. So end of summer 2014 and it is currently April 2017.
So it's coming up on 3 years.
Yeah, almost.
Okay, wow. That's actually longer than I've been off of.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Thanks.
So I know you mentioned a couple things, but is there something specific that you miss eating gluten-free?
Yes. The hardest one for me is actually pizza because if I'm around somebody that orders it and it's not gluten-free pizza, because when you smell it just makes you want pizza, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that I miss it on a day-to-day basis, but if I'm around it and I can't have it, that's really tough for me. Our city has a lot of great gluten-free options for even for pizza specifically. Mercurio's on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday have a great gluten-free pizza that I think tastes just like their regular pizza.
Oh, I'll have to try that.
Yoli's Pizza in South Park is awesome for that. So there are options for sure, but it's harder when I'm smelling it and I can't have it because it's not gluten-free.
Yeah.
But the other thing, while we're on the subject that I miss, are chocolate chip cookies. However, this girl right here, Baked True North, show you the label. I don't know if it's backwards, but made me some gluten-free chocolate chip cookies that I am so excited about because I haven't had like a chocolate chip cookie in so long. This is such treat. So, sorry,
all right, guys. She's gonna taste it and tell us what she thinks about them now. Chocolate chip cookies was my thing I missed, and
this is so good.
We're gonna make a chocolate chip cookie that tastes like a real chocolate chip cookie.
It really does, and I'm sorry you guys can't have this, but look how delicious. It even looks like a real chocolate chip cookie.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it.
Oh, good. I'll stop eating so we can continue the interview, but you better believe I'm going to finish this as soon as this is done.
You're good. You're
so
good. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Chocolate chip cookies were my thing that I missed the most. And I also miss pizza, even though, like you said, I think the thing about pizza, maybe it's different because you work at home now, but at work, that is the go-to. Like, oh, let's get together.
Yes.
We'll buy lunch. Everybody wants to buy pizza. I'm like, okay, great. I'll bring a salad.
And I'm fine with eating salads, and I love healthy food, but when you smell it,
and then I just sit there eating my salad, smelling pizza, and I'm like, this is not fun. Not fun.
I know the feeling.
So I also wanted to ask you, what's some advice that you'd give someone that's experiencing maybe similar health issues or maybe not even health issues, but for whatever reason, they're considering going gluten-free and they're a little nervous about it?
I have two pieces of advice for this. One, I helped my mom go gluten-free, not because I felt like she absolutely needed to be gluten-free, but she was having some issues that I suggested that maybe she just try it for a few weeks and see how she felt.
Yeah, okay.
And she was again, with my sister, she was very familiar with what's gluten-free, so there was no educational learning curve with it. But she said to me, she's been off gluten ever since, and she said to me that having that small chunk of time made it feel manageable. So instead of saying, I'm never going to eat gluten again, just trying it for a few weeks made it feel manageable to her. And then once she saw how easy it was and how much better she felt, it was natural for her to stay with it. So my advice to anyone would be just to try it for a very short period of time. It doesn't have to be forever, and give yourself that permission to try it, but not feel like you have to stick with it forever.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. To taking anything in small pieces, of course, is the best way to start. And I've heard various things about, some people swear by, you can't see any results until 6 months. You have to commit to it for 6 months. But I've heard you and other people say, it's been almost immediate that they felt different and better. So maybe we don't expect it that day, but like you said, maybe two weeks is a good enough time period to not super commit. So,
and trust your intuition too. I mean, we have that gift of guidance that we naturally know what is best for us, I think. So really, I think if you're really tuning into your body, you might know if it's something that feels right to try as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's really smart. All right, so I'm going to pull over right here, guys, just because we're getting ready to say goodbye, and there was a cop following me, and I didn't want to try to say goodbye with a cop behind me.
That would have been a dramatic end of the video.
All right, we get pulled over. So thank you so much for chatting with us on Gluten Free.
This has been great.
Any last things that you want to say about gluten-free or Baked True North or anything at all?
I would say, again, just want to reiterate, being healthy with your body, tuning into that. The other piece of advice I would give was, especially for me, when I first cut out gluten, there were other things I was sensitive to. So going to a naturopath that was able to determine that really helped, because at times when I had tried to just cut out gluten but not the other stuff, I wasn't seeing any results because there was more to it than that. So it can be a little tricky and sometimes feel like a puzzle, but that's why I liked going to a naturopath, because I felt like I got the guidance that I needed and answers.
Yeah.
But everybody's different, and just be gentle with yourself. Take it one day at a time and just tune into your body and what you feel like is healthy for you. And I promise you'll get there, and it's not as hard as you might think, especially with amazing people like Lauren creating awesome products that help you get everything you would want to have, even with a gluten-free lifestyle.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you guys for tuning in to Gluten Free Way. We'll be back again with more guest speakers, but thank you, Katelyn, for joining us.
Thanks, Lauren.
And as always, have a cookie.